Coach Dianne Yancey is the president of Dream Support Network. Her company provides personal success coaching for executives, politicians, and individuals. She is highly sought out as a motivational speaker, addressing personality communication styles and finding your passion. Grapevine Radio now proudly presents Coach Dianne Yancey's Communication Connection.
Hi, this is Coach Dianne Yancey, and I have a special guest here in the studio with me today, and it makes me very happy. There is no school today. I need to say that up front because I don't want anybody to think someone might be playing hooky, although it is not beyond us to have her do that. My granddaughter, Ashley Yancey, is here with me in the studio today, and she is going to be my co-person, helping me figure out some of the problems and talking about some of the issues of personalities today. And before we get into that, I would like to, first off, I want to acknowledge a very close friend of mine, Shelley Locke, who was nominated by the state of Utah American Mothers to be the Utah Young Mother of the Year. And I just want to say congratulations, Shelley. You deserve it. You're an awesome mother. And I'm very pleased to make people aware of that because it's just a wonderful tribute to her and to all of the young mothers that are out there working so hard to raise their children in good ways to contribute well to society. And that's what we're here about on the Communication Connection, talking about a lot of different things that affect us as communities and how we can communicate issues and how we can uncover a little bit about maybe what we should be doing, what we should be involved in. I always like to start the beginning of my show by reading emails that people have sent in and answering to the best of my ability. And I've got a really good one for you here today that I felt like would be really fun to address. Before I do that, I want to remind you that I'd love to have you call in. The number to call in is 866-377-1737. And so I hope if you have a question or something that you would like to contribute, to please call in. The first email that I will read to you today is from Wendy, and she doesn't give a last name, it just says N. And she doesn't say where she's from, but Wendy, hello, I'm glad that you emailed me. And here is her question. I know you said that people are born with personalities in place. Is it possible to start as one and then change to another? And she wanted to understand a little bit more about how this whole thing works. So I'm going to just quickly summarize a little bit about why my philosophy believes that personalities are already intact when we come here. I actually believe that we live before we come here, that we have if you will, in the spirit sense. I think that we have a lot of time there to develop our personalities, a lot of time before we come here to develop personalities and to be able to become who we are in our own right as someone with personality and having the understanding that we do of the 4 different types of personalities. Now, one thing that people don't always understand is that your passions are directly related to your personality. So I'm actually wondering which comes first. It's kind of like the horse or the cart or however that does that. But the passion, I believe, comes first. I think while we're kind of experimenting and learning who we are and trying to evolve a little bit before we ever come here, I believe that there are things that stir us, that cause us to want to get involved with them. And it could be, I mean, this is where we get the whole thing of a tendency towards art, a tendency towards music, whatever it is. Maybe it's just a tendency towards communication. Whatever it happens to be, I believe that passion is there. And then we nurture the strengths that help us to support our passions. So, in a nutshell, when we are born, we bring those strengths with us. And typically, there are certain strengths that go along with certain personality styles. And I also believe that those personality styles are there to help us accomplish what it is that we have determined that we want to accomplish while we're here. So you have what we call the choleric, red personality style. That is the person who is really a go-getter. That person is somebody that likes to lead and likes to be in control. And that personality lends itself very well to multiple types of things that they can be passionate about, as do all the personalities. The second personality style that we talk about is the melancholy blue personality style. This personality style is more of a nurturing, serving, oriented kind of personality. They are very, very giving and loving in the way that they interact with people, and they love to connect. Their main way of reaching out is to want to know everything about you, and they want you to know everything about them. The third personality style that we talk about is the phlegmatic green personality style. Now, these are the people that are the thinkers. These are not that everybody doesn't think, but these are the thinkers. These are the Einsteins. These are the ones that take a look at a problem, analyze it, and come up with a solution. And oftentimes they will do this without ever even sharing what they're doing. They may be sitting in a room where there's a problem that's been presented, and they're analyzing it, and they come up with a solution while everybody else is still talking about the problem. But be aware that although they're quiet and they seem reserved, that their minds are going 90 miles an hour, and inside they are not all that reserved. And so you just have to ask them what they think, and you may be surprised what you hear. And then finally, but not last in any way, we have the sanguine yellow personality. Now, these are the people that embrace life in a happy, optimistic way. These are those people that can see the horse or the pony in the pile of horse poo-poo, as people put it. And it's true. When they look at things, they see the potential. They never see the negative. And that also lends itself very, very well to the multiple decisions they may make in their life or things they want to get behind. It's great when you can get them all working together. It's really awesome. But those are the 4 basic personality styles. And to answer your question, Wendy, you come with your personality already formed. It is already here, and no, you don't change. However, the filters that you go through in life will allow you to make changes in the way you do things, in your behavior, that will allow you to embrace some of the skills and talents and abilities of other personality styles, if you choose to. So yes, when you came, you may have been a certain way, and then you've looked around and said, well, gosh, I would like to be more like this or this or this, and you've embraced those things, and you've brought them into you till now people probably can't tell whether they were always part of you or not. And that's a good thing. That's called developing character. However, if you look back inside yourself to what really motivates you and makes you tick, never changes. If you were born a happy, optimistic person, you're going to stay a happy, optimistic person. Even when bad things happen, what we tend to find out is that even if a sanguine gets depressed or gets discouraged, they do it differently than the other personalities. They do it in a way that they always know it's going to end. It's going to be over. And they're optimistic, right, even in the middle of huge depressions. And so those core things that you have stay with you forever, and they don't change. And it's important that you understand that and that you embrace it, because it's okay. Those are good things. And it's nice to know that that's what's driving you and that's what's motivating you. And it's wonderful when you add other kinds of strengths and embrace other ways of doing things, because as I said before, that is becoming more charactered when we can do those kind of things. Now, Ashley, hi.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here with me today. You just heard my description of all of that. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that? I've put her on the spot. Is there anything you can say about understanding personalities that you're born with? Do you believe that you're born with personality intact?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, well,
Go ahead.
some babies don't like cry as much as others, and some are just like mellow and like, hey, I'm just gonna chill out and stuff like that. And
I should tell you that Ashley just turned 12 just this last month. Congratulations, Ashley. And also, she has 3 brothers. She's the oldest with 3 brothers. Are they all the same?
no.
Were they all the same when they were born?
I don't think so.
You were pretty little, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you see them now?
They're all pretty annoying, but
Other than being annoying, are they all the same personality style?
no.
Tell us a little bit about your brothers.
Well, my brother Austin, he's 8 years old. He's going to get baptized soon.
Oh, nice.
And, well, I think he's like really red and blue.
A red blue.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why you think he's red.
He's really bossy and he likes to take charge of everything.
Aha. Okay.
And, he's blue because he's like, well, this is fair. If you give me this card, then you can't take it back and stuff like that.
What she's explaining here is that everybody has a little bit of everything in their personalities, but usually you have a dominant and a secondary that really you play into most of the time, and that's why she said a red-blue. And blues tend to be very fair. They want everything to be fair. And so when you're interacting with a blue, you might hear them actually say, well, that's not fair. And if you hear somebody say that, you're pretty well set that is probably a blue personality you're talking to, either in their dominant or their secondary, which was what she was explaining. And he is a little, I want to be in charge, I can do that myself, take over kind of person and wants to dictate what everybody else should be doing. Delegates very well as long as he doesn't have to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go on and tell us about your other brothers.
There's my brother Ryan. He's like 6 years old.
Yes, and he's the one you spoil to death. Aha.
And I think he's green-yellow.
Okay, tell us why.
Because, like, he's a yellow because he, like, is just, like, he bounces off the walls. He's just, like, really energetic. And, like, he's yellow because, like, well, he's, like,
okay. Are you trying to talk about how he can be funny and silly and...
yeah.
Okay.
Like...
He just doesn't take anything serious, does he?
No. He's really easygoing, and he's kind of quiet, but he's, like... he's more yellow than green.
Okay. In the classroom, how do you think he acts?
I think he's pretty well behaved.
Yeah. I kind of see that in him, that in large environments where he's not feeling real safe, he would probably be more quiet than outgoing. So I would say, did you say he was green and then yellow?
I thought he was yellow and green, and then green.
Okay, well, we'll watch him and see how it develops. Okay. All right. And then what about Taylor? Ashley has a brother who is autistic, extremely intelligent, knows so much about so many things. He just boggles our minds. And what is he? What is his personality style?
I think he's a green-blue.
Why do you say that?
Because he's really easygoing and quiet, like Ryan, but Ryan is, like, as I said, yellow.
Right.
And he's, like, really sincere, and he's really nice, and, like, he likes to organize things. He's, like, very organized.
Mm-hmm. Now tell us, I thought it was so cute, you told me this yesterday, when your mother was sick just recently and she'd had the flu and she'd been so sick. In the middle of the night, what did Taylor do?
He went and, like, checked her temperature. He's like, 98.6, you're all right, Mom.
Did he wake her up to tell her that? Or
Yeah.
Oh. He is so cute. But that is awesome, and that's so typical of Taylor. Very typical of Taylor. So tell us about you. What's your deal?
I'm a blue yellow.
A blue yellow. Okay. How are you in the classroom?
I'm pretty quiet.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a reason why as a blue you would be quiet in a classroom?
I tend to take over things, and I do most things myself. So, like,
Yeah. So you're just kind of following the rules?
yeah, I follow the rules, and, like, I hardly ever get in trouble.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, tell us a little bit about your classroom. I mean, you must, based on the fact that you've been listening to this personality stuff since you were 4. I just wonder if you sometimes watch the classroom and try to figure out what people are. Do you do that a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Tell us. Can you tell me some particulars of how can you tell which ones are red?
Well, they, like, know the answer. They just, like, blurt out the answers sometimes.
Ah. Okay.
And they, take over, like, they just, like, take over, and, like, I'm the boss, so you have to listen to me.
I see. And how can you tell which ones are green?
Well, they don't really talk very much. They don't really answer the questions. They just, like, sit back and,
Just listen.
yeah.
So they're either green or unprepared.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your yellows? What are they doing in class?
They're usually, like, raising their hands and, like, answering the question and, like, trying to make everybody laugh and, like, saying jokes and stuff.
I see. Okay, and as a blue, how do you deal with that in the class? What do blues do?
If someone's, like, tells a joke, I just laugh, and, like, I'm usually pretty quiet, but I usually know the question, so I raise my hand a lot.
Okay. So you follow the rule of raising your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, usually, just for your information, usually the reds and the blues do have a lot of opportunity to raise their hand because they're usually the two that have done the work to know the answers. The others the greens may know, but they're certainly not going to raise their hand and answer. They might get called on, so that's why they're prepared, but they don't typically volunteer it. And the yellows usually, whether they're prepared or not, will try to answer the questions. Boggles our brain, doesn't it? So it's normal, but what you said about the reds just blurting it out, I think that's fun because I have noticed that too in classrooms that the reds they don't even think that they have to raise their hand. The rule is for everyone else. And so that's interesting for that. Now, what happens out on the playground? I mean, does everybody just kind of keep their same way of acting out there?
No, there's, like, 10 different popular groups.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And can you identify the groups by colors, or are they a blend?
They're just kind of like a blend.
Okay. So you don't have the tough guys, and I mean, what group do you belong to?
I belong to the soccer group.
The soccer group. Well, that's a good group to belong to. Do you like to play soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that lets all your energy out. What are your favorite subjects at school?
I like music and recess.
Music and recess. Ashley plays the violin quite well, I might add, and I'm not surprised that's one of her favorites. And then recess because you're playing soccer. I see. I guess we're going to have to figure some way to get the other subjects up on top of your list, huh? Although you are a voracious reader and love to do lots of reading, so I don't worry too much about that. Okay, so now let's get into a really hard one. What is your teacher's personality style?
I would think like a red.
Does she have a secondary?
It's between green and blue.
It's between those two, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, how is she up in front of the class?
She's like usually pretty nice, but she assigns a lot of work.
Well, I think we can say that about most teachers. Yeah. So how does she deal with the kids? Does she deal with them in a compassionate, nice way, or is she pretty?
She's pretty strict,
Is she?
especially with the boys in the front that don't listen.
Oh well, yeah. She might have to do that to survive. Totally. Would you say that she has any yellow in her?
Yeah, some.
Some. Okay. She tells jokes?
No.
No jokes.
No jokes.
Does she laugh at jokes?
They don't tell jokes.
Oh, no one dares tell a joke to her, huh? I see. Okay. Well, you said you thought she was red. Have you seen something in her behavior that makes you think that, other than she's an authority figure, so you might assume that?
Well, she's like, I don't know, like,
Is she bossy?
well, kinda.
See, because the reason I'm asking is because sometimes just because someone is an authority figure or is leading the group, someone might automatically assume that they were a red personality style. But I think that we need to be careful of assuming that, because it's not always true. Other personalities can make really good leaders and be up in front of the group too. The only things you'd watch for tendencies is like a red would probably be a little more abrupt and maybe cut when a kid was sitting and talking to try to give her an answer. They might interrupt him in the middle of the answer and say, just get to the point, or something like that. Whereas a blue who was listening would listen carefully and be more attentive to what the person was trying to communicate. Whereas a green would be real easily distracted as far as getting off the subject, because they would kind of go where the student wanted to talk and where they wanted to go, because they're so easygoing and they move so easily back and forth around there. And so then you've got your yellow. If it was a yellow, what do you think a yellow teacher would be doing?
They'd probably be like, I don't know, like joking and like,
Yeah, they'd be more joking and more having more fun, maybe.
yeah,
Maybe you'd get your wish of more soccer. Okay, all right, excellent. Ashley, you're really doing well and you know this stuff. How does it help you in your life to understand this? Does it help you understand how to talk to people better?
yeah.
Okay, could you give me some examples? Like, if you were going to talk to a red person, how would you approach them?
You would just like get straight to the point. You wouldn't like do like small talk.
Yeah, they just want you to get to the point, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about a blue?
Blue, you would just like, well,
How do you like to be talked to?
I like to be talked to like, well,
Pretty nice.
yeah, and like,
Do they talk a lot?
no, not a lot, but
But they like to get to know you?
yeah.
And what would you say to them if you were going to ask? Let's say you wanted to take a test. And so how would you approach the blue to get him to let you retake a test?
You would like compliment them and then get to the point.
Oh, so you're going to make chit chat and small talk first.
Yeah.
I see. All right, that could work. And what about a green? If you were going to try to get them to give you permission to take a test again?
You would be like, can I take this test over again, because I didn't really I was sick that day, and you can like just tell me later if you want to.
Ah, so you're not asking them to give you a decision right that minute.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they like don't like to be rushed,
Okay.
and
They don't like to be put on the spot.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Good, Ash. That was good for you to pick up on that. And how would you approach a yellow teacher about doing that?
You might want to say like, well, I was sick this day, so you could either just give me an A or let me retake the test.
Totally, totally. You could handle a yellow teacher that way, and they would probably enjoy it very much. Well, you seem to be understanding this a little bit in class. Now, you're just 12, and you're right at that age where girls and guys start noticing each other a little bit. Do you feel like understanding this is going to help you talk to guys better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. There's still a lot of awkwardness there, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a boy and a girl. Yeah, I know. That's a hard stage. However, you just had Valentine's Day not too long ago, and I heard you didn't do too badly. You had a boy gave you a bear or something, a teddy bear?
It was like a lion with a heart in his mouth. It was really cute.
That's so cute. Well, you must be doing okay then if you communicated that it's Valentine's Day. Did you give him anything?
Yeah, I gave him a box of chocolates.
Aha. Right to his heart, I'm sure. That's nice. I'm glad you had a good Valentine's Day. Well, you know what we're going to do here? We're going to go to a short commercial. And when we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more on the personalities. If you'd like to call in and talk to us about the personalities, the number is 866-377-1737.
As a professional trainer, I've found that there are 5 basic learning styles. The computer-based training from Macau works on all 5. With Macau Training, you don't just watch a movie or read a manual. You access videos, examples, and exercises as you need them. You can use Macau courses to improve your management skills or to become an expert at your computer software. To find out how to achieve more with Macau Training, call us at 877-752-5329. That's 877-752-5329, or visit MacauCorp.com today. www.MacauCorp.com. Macau creates training that works. It's that simple.
There's a new site on the internet that helps families keep in touch. It's ldscenter.com, a new website for LDS families and their friends. At ldscenter.com, you can create a free family website to share photos, news, and events.
It's like a family newsletter online. And all the family websites are private because the only people who can look at them are the ones that you invite to your site.
You know, it's a great way to keep in touch with family members. I have 8 brothers and sisters in 4 different states, and I'm using my family website to keep in touch with them.
Visit ldscenter.com today and create your free family website.
Welcome back to Communication Connection with your host, Coach Dianne Yancey.
Hi, this is Coach Dianne, and we're back here again. I'm talking today with my granddaughter, Ashley Yancey, and we're talking a little bit about the personalities and how they affect her 12-year-old life and what she knows about it. And Ashley, you're doing a great job. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and it's nice to have you here. And so I appreciate your thoughts on this. Some of you that are out there listening now may have been trying to figure out the people that you know and how they are interacting with the personalities and how you could speak to them and have them interact with you dealing with the personalities. And so one of the things that I would like to do is go over just a little bit of ways you can tell who someone is by the way they interact with their life. And so I'd like to kind of go over some things about shopping. I think it'd be interesting. You can tell a lot about somebody when they're shopping. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that when you look at it, you'll be able to decide if that person is what personality style they are. And Ashley, I'm going to let you try to guess, but I'll read them first, and then you can give a guess, and then I'll tell the answer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. The first shopping style is this. They shop anytime. They are not a spendthrift. They wander in and out of every store. They're an impulsive buyer. They charm the salespeople. They delight in bargains. They love sales bargains. They love crowds. They enjoy talking to friends, and they like lots of choices, but they're easily swayed once they see something new. And typically, they don't think it's any fun to return things. They would be categorized as a fun-loving buyer. What personality style would that be?
I think yellow.
Yellow, sanguine yellow. You got it. That's right. Now let's talk about another one. Here we go. This one likes to have a specific shopping time that they go. They're very savvy, meaning they understand exactly how much money they're going to spend and what they should be spending for that particular item. They decide ahead of time on which stores they want to go into. They're a very opinionated buyer, and they usually intimidate the salesperson. They're selective about sales and discounts, and they avoid crowds. They prefer to shop alone. They like choices. They like to make their own selection, and they can manipulate returning things very easily. They are called the decisive buyer. Which personality style does that sound like?
I think it's between blue and red.
Okay, good. It's a red. Good call, because it could be very similar. Okay, here's another description. We have this buyer delays putting shopping time off, and when they do finally go shopping, they overspend their budget. They prefer small stores and that are run by families rather than the big repetitive versions that are out there all over the country. They procrastinate making decisions. They're very puzzling to the salesperson. They don't know what they want. They like a bargain if it's easily found, but they don't want to go searching through to find the bargain. They bring out the wrong coupons. They bring the wrong coupons when they're going to a sale, and they really would rather just stay home and avoid the crowds and send somebody else to do their shopping for them. They think it's too much work. Which personality would that be?
I think green.
Green. You're right. Yeah, it's absolutely right. And the last one, of course, we know which one this will be then. But let me tell you about them. They like to schedule their shopping time, which is very similar to the red. So you were right there to see that they were like the same. They're budget oriented. They make lists of stores and cross-reference items. They're critical and a nitpicky buyer. They ignore salespeople. They seek bargains and best values for lowest price. They organize and categorize their coupons if they use coupons. And they don't mind battling crowds, and they need space and time to evaluate their choices. They're cautious about new things, and they assess each detail. Practical and systematic about returns. They are called the bottom line buyer.
Blue.
The blue. Did that remind you of you?
Kind of.
Yeah, I think you've got more yellow in you when it comes to buying. I've seen you be an impulse buyer too many times, but maybe when you're spending your own money more, might shift into the other mode. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Okay. One of the other things, let's see if we can talk a little bit more about Wendy's question from earlier, because I think that it's really important when you find that you are changing from your personality style, when you feel like you're doing something so different than you were before, that you feel like that you are a different personality than you were to begin with. I think a lot of people feel that way, and there's a couple of things you need to do to kind of check yourself out and make sure that you're okay. First off, I think it's important that you make sure that you are not suffocating your personality. And by that I mean there are a lot of people that are willing to tell you what they think you ought to be doing or how you should be acting, what you should do, think, say, or whatever. And there are people that sometimes get caught in traps where they try to perform or be what the other person wants them to be. Typically a red won't fall into this trap, but the other personalities can be vulnerable to it because they do want to please and they do want to have other people feel good about what they are doing. And so they oftentimes can get into a routine or find themselves doing things that are not in harmony with who they are or with their personality. And typically as my clients come to me and we share information, I find that the ones that are the least satisfied with their lives have in some way become derailed, is what I call it, where they start doing things that are not really who they are. And I'm not saying that that's all bad. If you chose to change the habit, or you chose to change because it's something you recognized that you wanted to change, it's something you wanted to do differently. If you made that choice, then of course that is the stretch that we talked about earlier that brings you to that character place. However, if you are in a situation where you have been you've changed, but it was not something that you did on purpose, it was not something that you wanted to do, but suddenly you find yourself in the middle of it. At this point in time, I find that people that are in that position have a difficult time peeling back the layers and finding out what their core personality is. And so I want to give you some suggestions, some things that might help you. And Wendy, you didn't indicate that you were in that position, and I don't mean to imply that you are, but just in case you or any other listener out there is having a problem, I would encourage you to do this. I think sometimes we have to just shut down from the noise and the craziness that happens to us in life and find a quiet space where we can just be alone with who we are and our own thoughts. Take a tablet and a pencil. And in that moment, it would be wonderful if you would just stop and think, okay, what do I want? And when you write something down in your tablet, take a close look at it and say, now, do I want that, or do I think that someone else thinks I ought to want that? If you cannot own it and really believe that that's really what you want, scratch it off your list and go to the next thing. And systematically do that until you have found some things that you know that you really want, that are really belong to you. And once you've found those things, then take a look at what kinds of strengths, what kinds of talents you would have to have in place to be able to have those things. And I believe that if you look closely, you will find a pattern, and you will start to notice that those strengths go specifically with a personality style that would accommodate you in having those things. On the other hand, you will need to take a look at the list, which is longer. Were you able to make a list of things that really were things you want, things that really are part of you? Was that a longer list, or was the list of the things other people wanted you to do and expected of you, which was longer? If you find that in the side of the longer list turns out to be other people's expectations of you or what other people want of you, you may want to reevaluate how you're going to get back in touch with you. I highly recommend that if you're finding yourself in this situation, if you have not already, go in online to DSN Coaching, that's Dianne Sam Nancy Coaching.com, and go in to take the profile, use the password FUN, and go in and take the profile and see if it helps you to think through the different questions so that you can determine which personality style you are. There's a great download there that gives you an overview of all the personality styles, and it'll be good for you to be able to take a look at that and be able to evaluate who you are and what's going on there. And so I'm excited to share that information with you. I have also always an opportunity for people to be able to call in at in here to talk on the radio show at 866-377-1737 and ask your questions and talk to me about these things. Also, you can email me, and I'm always open for you to email me at Dianne, Dianney, and then the number 5 at AOL.com. And that's how people reach me by email. And as you see, if they ask, I'll answer the question on air. If you do not want it read on air, then I will answer it personally and privately. But I do enjoy that. Ashley, do you have anything to add here? Anything, any question, anything you'd like to ask?
No.
Not really, huh? You've just been absorbing it all. Okay, tell me, what is your father's personality style? Which would be my son.
I think he's a green-yellow.
A green-yellow, because he just kind of goes along and is quiet?
Yeah, but then he's really funny, and he likes to talk to people, and he likes to make jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. He has that dry wit. He's got what I call English humor. He'll say something, and it takes you 3 minutes to realize, oh my gosh, he just cracked the funniest joke ever, because he says it with a straight face, and he does it without setting it up. Yeah, true. Good point. And what about your mom?
My mom, I think she's a blue-yellow.
A blue-yellow? Okay, because she's very nice and giving and nurturing. I can see the blue there. And the yellow?
She's fun to be around, and she likes to talk to people, and she's not very funny, but
Oh. Well, do you know blues are typically not very funny? I hate to tell all the blues out there, they usually don't get jokes, and they very rarely ever tell a joke that comes off well. And so that's okay. So if you're stronger in the blue and lighter in the yellow, you might end up not really getting jokes or telling jokes. In fact, I've had friends, they're so analytical that when they hear a joke, they're trying to analyze what's okay with the joke. Pardon me. We're just going to go to a little quick commercial here, and I'm going to have a drink of water because my throat's getting very dry, and we'll be back and we'll wrap up this session by talking a little bit more about the personalities and a little bit about how they are in the home front and with hospitality.
This helpful tip is brought to you by Susan Duffield, hostess of Awake, Living with Purpose and Passion. Lift it up. You have all seen them, and you may even have one or two. Piles on the floor. Clothes, paper, even unopened packages. Piles on the floor drain the energy of any space, and drain your energy with unfinished business. Lifting those piles up off the floor changes your experience upon entry to the space. If necessary, put your stuff into boxes and label them. Create a space for letting go and commit time to doing so. This helpful tip is brought to you by Susan Duffield, hostess of Awake, Living with Purpose and Passion. White walls or color? One of the easiest manners in which to shift your experience in your space is with color. Start with a subtle color on all 4 walls, or strike a pose with an intense deep color on one. You can instill a sense of harmony, calm, or excitement through color.
Welcome back to Communication Connection with your host, Coach Dianne Yancey.
All right, we are back. This is Coach Dianne Yancey and my guest today, Ashley Yancey. And we have been talking about personality styles in communication. And we are going to talk for just a minute about how the different personalities entertain and what their preference is in giving a party. Now, I can tell you this, the Reds, when they focus in on doing a party, they want to just have it catered. They just want somebody to do it and handle it. They'll show up and they'll walk around having everybody say what a great party it is, and they love it. They want to delegate it out and do it, and then they show up. If a Red wants to do a party, you can count on there's an agenda. You can count on there's some reason why they want to do the party. They're actually better at doing parties for business associates. They want to mingle, they want to do it, but they want to have a purpose in it. They want to get together because it has something. There's always a what's in it for me when you're dealing with Red. That's not bad. That's just how it is. It is what it is. When you have a party given by a Blue, they will meticulously think through the smallest little details of what might be needed to make their guests comfortable. Because of this, because it is such a daunting task to them, and because they do not delegate well, they tend to try to do everything themselves. So giving parties wears out the blue. And so they don't do it often, but when they do, you can count on it to be meticulous and have it thought through to every level you can possibly imagine. They give great parties, but it takes them months to recover afterwards. And so then you have your greens. If a green's going to do a party, the green personality style is going to do a very small, intimate party. It may be a party of 2, maybe 4, but they don't get really huge. What they would much rather do is sit and have good conversation with a good friend and not get into the whole big party kind of thing. And so then you have your sanguines. Your sanguines are the ones that are trying to come up with a party for everything you can imagine it for. They create new holidays just to give a party. They don't think a lot about how hard it is to give a party, because to them it isn't hard. It just feels comfortable. It's something they do because they enjoy being with people. And it's amazing because they absolutely are excited about having people over and getting to know them. Their parties usually are the talk of the town. They come up with funny, innovative things to do and usually put very little effort into it. It just happens. It just pulls together. And so that's an exciting thing for them to give a party. So people usually show up to the sanguine parties. They usually show up to the others too, but they're not as relaxed. Is typically what happens. Okay, we have a question from, it looks like a caller that says, talk about the personality styles and relationships. I'd love to. Okay, let's just give a quick summary here. First, before I say anything, I want to put this disclaimer here. Any 2 personality styles can be together and make it work. It just depends on the amount of work you're willing to put into it. Okay? Your natural, easygoing relationships are the red and the green. Now, why would that be? The red wants to take charge and handle everything, and the green says, okay, go ahead. I'll let you handle everything, just don't cause any waves. And so they're kind of a natural combination that they get along well. And it doesn't matter if the red is male or female and the green, whichever they are, because usually the green is very happy to have a dominant red help make their life work. And they do it, even though the greens are very, very independent. It's always nice to have somebody that'll do the confrontation for them if they need it. And so that's kind of a natural one. The yellows and the blues are kind of a natural combination because where the greens and the reds both come from a place of logic. They both tend to come from logic. The yellows and the blues come from emotion. They both tend to be very emotional, and they're both very chatty. A blue wants to know in-depth information and details, where a red or a yellow can barely remember the in-depth details, and so that frustrates the blue sometimes. But they'll both chat and chat and chat forever, and the blue needs to talk for a very long period of time when they have a problem, and a yellow will listen and make jokes and try to cheer them up and do all those kinds of things, but they will listen. And so the 2 of them can be compatible as long as the blue doesn't try to organize the yellow, and the yellow helps the blue lighten up a little bit. Okay, now what happens when you get a red and a blue together? The red is coming from a logic base. The way red shows love is that they usually show it by taking care of everything, by paying the bills, by whatever means, the things they do for the person that have either a monetary connection or taking care of something that was stressful or whatever is how they show love. The blue needs to be told they are loved. They need to feel nurtured. They need to connect. They need to talk, and they need to talk from an emotional place. What does the red want, Ashley? What did you say? How do they want to be talked to?
They just want them to get to the point.
Get to the point. And if the blue can't get to the point because they're so full of emotion, what happens? The red shuts down, stops listening. The blue feels like they aren't being heard, and they have problems. Now, can those 2 not be together? That doesn't mean that. What it means is if they really want to be together, the red has to understand that the blue needs to talk and that the blue needs to be validated and needs to have those kind of things. On the other hand, the blue needs to understand that the red personality just needs her to get to the point, or him to get to the point, whichever it is. And so out of respect for each other, you kind of meet each other halfway. And sometimes the blue can say, okay, this time you're going to have to come all the way over because I really need to talk about this. And sometimes the red can say, okay, I'm here, but you're going to have to get to the point because I just haven't got enough energy to deal with all this. And that's okay, as long as you're respecting where you're each coming from. What happens when a red and a yellow get together? The red tries to dominate, tries to take control, and the yellow continually says, get over yourself. There is no way you're going to get me to do that. And so the yellow actually is so spontaneous and such an enigma to the red that they either don't like them at all or they're fascinated by them because they just can't figure out how their brains work. So they're just fascinated. But one thing that does happen is it keeps it interesting. And so sometimes you will see those red-yellow combinations that work very well because they're both charismatic. They both can engage people very easily. And so as a twosome, they can be very fun to have around. But the red just enjoys the challenge of not being able to control the yellow. And so they're constantly trying to. Okay, what happens when a yellow and a green, let's say the yellow and the green get together? The yellow is constantly wanting to go, play, do all those kind of things. The green is a homebody. Greens like to be home. They like to just kind of nest all the time, whether it's a male or a female. They love their own home environment. They would love it if everything would just come to them and they never had to really go out. I mean, not so much so way, but that's how they really feel. And so the yellow is always dragging the green, kicking and screaming to go and do things they don't want to do. And it's really hard for the green to calm the yellow down, to get into their, into their world. Can they make it work? Of course they can make it work. If they learn what the other person needs and they respect each other and they come together in a respectful way. They can take turns. Okay, I'll do this with you and then you do this with me. And when we're communicating, we'll come to this place. Now, did I go over all of them? I think I did. Did I, Ashley?
Did you do the reds and the reds?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ashley. Good catch. Okay, reds and reds. What do you think their life would be like together? They'd be arguing a lot. They would be arguing a lot. But would that bother them? No. One thing reds love to do is argue. They will argue just for the sake of arguing. Even if they think you're right and they're wrong, they'll still argue with you because they like it so much. They love to debate. And other people think they're all real mad. They're not mad. And there's a story about two red people that were married. And the kids were watching them, and they were fighting, and he came in from outside and said, "What's for dinner?" And she goes, "I don't feel like making dinner." And he says, "Fine." He picks up a plate and throws it on the ground. She picks up a plate and throws it on the ground. Pretty soon the kitchen's trashed. The kids come in and say, "What's for dinner?" And they go, "I don't care. Your mom and I are going out for dinner. You guys fix what you want." And they went off, and they were all happy. They that's how they like it. Yellow and yellow. Just don't plan on getting anything accomplished. You're going to play the whole time. Green on green. Don't expect to have any adventures in your life because you'll be sitting around saying, "What do you want to do?" "I don't know." "What do you want to do?" "I don't know." "What do you want to do?" And the blues, oh my gosh, they will be talking and communicating on very deep levels, which is maybe a good thing, except for when they both are needing at the same time. Who's going to give in and who's going to do what? So, every style personality can work with them. As I said before, it's just how much work do you want to do? So if you're out there and you haven't found your mate yet or the person you want to hang with, remember that and see if it influences you at all. This is Coach Dianne Yancey, and I have enjoyed so much being here with my granddaughter, Ashley Yancey, today. And I appreciate you out there listening to me. And I hope that you learned just a little bit more about the personalities today, and I hope to hear from you, and I hope to see you again next Monday, or at least hear from you next Monday. And this is Coach Dianne Yancey signing off for another week.